Okay, so I think I'm recording. It says recording. So, all right. Okay, so the very first question is, it asked us to use the rating scale in figure 1.1, which was on page 5 in our book, and it said to determine whether the quantitative physical activity in middle schools article reports a research study. What is your evidence that the article is a research study?
Okay.
All right. So I bought the book actually in the PDF format, so it was really easy to copy and paste that table in. So the first box, in terms of terms are present that identify the report as research. I mean, it was easy to find the word research, so I think that was the best.
Okay, go ahead. Sandra, did you want to add in, or did you want me to tell you what I found?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, so what I looked at was the abstract, because what it said was, in order to, figure 1.1 shows we need to show that there's terms that say research, like you said, Victoria. Number 2 said that the authors need to describe gathering data, and number 3 said that the authors need to describe analyzing and gathering their data and their results, reporting their results. So, and then you would give them either a 0 or a 1, right? So if just by looking at the abstract of the article, you can see number 1, the vocabulary says this study, right? Number 2, it says the survey was administered to 292 people. So I gave it a 1 there. And then it says the results indicate and ... statistically significant associations between. So I gave them a 3-point scale that proves that it is a quantitative research. That it is research. So.
Yeah.
All right. That's what I found.
Yes, me too.
All right. Okay, so we're all in agreement. I'm going to go ahead and move on to number 2. Okay? All right. So here's a list of the major headings that appear in the physical activity in middle schools article. Which steps of the research process on page 19 do you find in each section? And it says we need to explain which steps go under each of the following headings and then support our answer with either quotations, some type of evidence, or quotations. So do you want to go ahead and do one of you want to give us some input as to what you found?
Yeah, I could. So for the introduction section, I found that really steps 1 through 3 were identified. The first one being step 1, identify a research problem. I'm not sure what page this was on, but there was a quote that started with or began with, in order to identify effective intervention strategies for this specific population, there is a need to further examine and better understand available school-based PA opportunities and factors.
I think it was page 184 or 28.
28, yeah.
Yeah, 28.
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to write that down. 28.
And then for step 2, I found for that review of literature step, a quote from page 28 as well. This study was grounded in the social ecological model, a theory that deals with how multiple facets of physical and social environments may influence behaviors of middle school students.
Perfect.
And then for step 3, specify a purpose. I think it was the last sentence. It said, specific aims of the study were to investigate the status of PA opportunities afforded to public middle school students.
All right.
I think that's all from page 28.
Did you want to add anything, Sandra?
If I'm being completely honest, I'm a little lost right now.
Okay, it's okay. We're on number 2. I'll go ahead and talk while you find it. So, on the week 1 questions for discussion, did you find those in the?
Yeah, I did.
You did. Okay, so we're on number 2, and basically what we're going over is proof that this is which steps of the research process did we find in each section. So it shows you like the major headings, right? The introduction, the methods, the results, discussion, conclusion, and recommendation. So basically what we're doing is finding evidence. Where's the evidence that these are in there? So I went through the article and I looked just like you did, Victoria, and I looked at the introduction, and the introduction showed the problem, and I just made a little quote from page 28. It said, low levels of physical activity, ... show obesity problems in children, right? So that says right there that it states the problem. And then in the introduction, it also showed the literature. A 2-year school-based PA intervention was piloted, right? So that was the literature. It kind of goes over the literature. And then it tells us the purpose. The present study was designed to explore school-based da-da-da-da-da. I just did short little quotes.
Yeah.
And then for the methods, I found for number 4, and it's kind of nice because in our book, it's numbered on the side. So if you look at the little numbers, the little number 04 is right where methods is. So it makes it nice and easy, right? So in the book, that I found that to be nice and organized. So number 4 was the research design, and it says specifically in there, this study was conducted following a quantitative study design, right? So there's your design. And then did they select participants? Number 5 shows you they did, and it says 660 middle school PE teachers, right? And then you go to number 6, and it shows you the procedure. It's nice and easy, and how they analyze the data. Data gathered in 2 phases is what I put for my quotes. So what I'm thinking, girls, and I'm just going to stop here. What I'm thinking is we could do like you said, Victoria, and do a Google Doc, and we all share it. And then I can type in notes, and maybe we can even do this ahead of time.
Yeah,
I type in my notes, and then because I have it all written down, but I could have done it on a Google Doc.
I actually I created one just so I can know what we're talking about, and I tried to answer the questions. So if you want, I know you're the facilitator, but if it makes it easy, since I already created one, I can add you guys both to it. Does it need to be a Gmail account, or?
I don't think the email accounts matter, because I sent Sandra the invitation for this. I know you were worried about it being it had to be a school account, but I don't think it makes any difference.
Okay, let me add. Which email should I use?
Oh no, I'm lagging. Give me.
Should I use your email? That's p.lonergan@Wiseborn?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay. Yeah, feel free to add your answers.
Sorry, ladies, this is lagging. So
Don't worry. And then the other thing I was going to tell you too, Sandra, is we should all share our phone numbers. And because I know I got yours, Victoria, and I thought that was great. I was like, oh, we should all have each other's phone numbers so we can contact each other.
yeah.
1 second here. I'm just.
I actually got Victoria. I just saved it on my phone. So let me just text. And I just got your invitation to edit.
Perfect.
I'm going to share my cell number with you girls. I'll just email it to you.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome. Okay.
So we've got the Google Doc. So I think for the next one, it'll make it just so much easier. And then we can, if I feel like, oh, I want to add something that I found, I can add. Same thing with you, Sandra. If you see in the questions, oh, I want to add this, and we can add it. And then this way I can go ahead and send it to them. Oh, by the way, I'm recording, Sandra. So, and then I'll send them our recording of this. All right. So anyway, moving on.
Okay.
Moving on, as far as the results, I found that on table 3, right? That's where they published their results in this first one. And then for the discussion, number 14, that little side tab, number 14, showed social and environmental factors are important because, and then it goes on to explain it. So that's where they did their discussion. And then number 19 and 20 was their conclusion and recommendations. And those are all on page 36.
Yeah, on my doc, I use the full quotes. Feel free to use yours because I think I kind of just copied and pasted what I thought applied, but it's really too long.
Really? Okay. I just started the beginning because I was writing them all. Yeah. I'm just old school. I like writing everything and then putting it all in the computer. And I know that's double steps, but it just helps me remember.
Routines, yeah, no, totally.
Yeah. All right. So shall we move on to number 3?
Yes.
Okay, let's
I'll
move
be
on to number 3. All right. Should we just keep going, Victoria?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right. So, because I think we only have 40 minutes and then we have to restart. Okay. So if we use the rating scale on figure 1.1 to determine the qualitative physical activity at daycare. So it's basically the same thing. I just looked at the abstract. How did you do
Me
yours?
too. Yeah, me too.
Okay. And then I just quoted the vocab. This study sought to on page 40. And then the data, 8 focus groups were conducted, also on page 40. And then analyzing the data, they said they coded and categorized emerging themes. So that themes part is what they say is part of the qualitative, right? Okay. All right. Let's move on to number 4. So number 4, here's a list of major headings that appear in the physical activity at daycare. Which steps of the research process do you expect to find in each section?
Yeah. So for introduction, same step 1 through 3. First quote I got: in Canada, research found that between 26 to 30% of preschool age children are overweight or obese. And then review of literature, I got: a recent systematic review identified that approximately 45% of preschool children remain insufficient.
Oh, I like your quote better.
Active. And then the purpose. And then the purpose, that last sentence that said, therefore the primary purpose of the study was twofold.
I got the same one. I got a different one for the literature, but I like yours better. I just put the very low rates of physical activity documented. I just like the fact that it's talked about being documented.
Yeah.
All right. And then the methods, did you do 5, 6, and 7?
I got 4 and 5. Oh, sorry. Are you referring to the
those little
yeah.
sectors, yeah.
Let me open that actually. What page is that?
That's page 41 in our book.
Thank you.
Oh, actually 42 because I moved on.
Okay, so you said 4, 5, 6, and 7. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I found the methods, right?
Yeah.
And then for 8 and 9, it gave us the results, right? That's on page 44.
Yep.
And then 12 to 23, they just went down and explained each of their datas individually.
Mm-hmm.
And then for discussion, that's on page 48. And that was number 24. And I put the quote from the side. You know, with that little box on the side that gives us the little tips, it says the researcher relates the meaning of the findings with past studies and qualitative research. That's what I quoted because that basically tells you, look, this whole discussion is analyzing data and explaining the discrepancy. So I didn't put an actual quote from the discussion. I just kind of quoted that.
Yeah, for my part of the discussion, I just got the last sentence from section 24, but I was getting a little confused because like when we were looking at the organization of a research study, it shows that like it goes from results to like conclusions. So for me, discussion was kind of like part of step 6 and 7 in a way of the actual scientific, the process of the scientific research. Because I mean, it's analyzing data and reporting results, correct? Is that right?
So you're saying for the analyzing data and reporting, it's number 6, the result.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. And then the very end was this one had future directions, which the other one didn't.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. And for future directions, I just put that in our book, it continues to analyze the data, number 6, right? And explain the discrepancy between the actual beliefs of the people who work at the daycare and their actual findings. Like, they're super active. And it's like, well, no, they're really not. You just feel like, so I think that part, the future directions was kind of explaining that they need to be more informed, basically.
And more research needs to be done, yeah.
Exactly. Okay, and then the very end was the conclusion, and that was what the research suggested, and that was in the articles there, page 217, which is our page 50.
Yeah.
Page 50 in ours. All right, so, and then basically I just put research suggests, and then I didn't quote the rest.
That's what I got too.
Okay, perfect. All right, moving on to number 5 so we don't run out of time. Assume that you are a professional, such as an educator, an administrator, a nurse. We're on number 5, Sandra.
Okay.
So assume that you are a professional, such as an educator, an administrator, a nurse, or a counselor, who is interested in learning about children's physical activity. Why might it be important for you to read these two research? That's the first part of the question. Why might it be important for you to read it? And then how does reading these two articles help you? So first part. Did you want to start, Sandra?
Usually it's just very important to kind of, sorry, I don't have anything written down, so I'm just,
No. Don't worry about it. Just you can add it.
research-based practices are very important. So it's good to add kind of what you have here in the document's pretty accurate, actually. Like adding professional knowledge. I'm sorry, is it loud?
No, you're fine.
Okay, you're good.
And being able to use practices that are actually going to work and have shown to work in certain populations, such as like adolescents and stuff like that. It's better to do that than trial and error. Yeah,
For sure. Okay, I'm writing what you said, and you can obviously I'll add what you said, and you guys can
okay.
change it around when we do the Google Doc. All right, and this was Sandra. Okay, so did you want to chime in, Victoria?
Yeah, I guess for the second part, how does reading these two articles specifically help you? I just took the approach of being a counselor since that's what the program I'm in is for.
Oh, okay.
Really, if I choose the route of going with children, it's important to know kind of the new professional knowledge that comes about, with regarding children. That's also important to improve your practice, like suggesting possible improvements, offering new ideas, and identifying and evaluating alternative approaches. That's in general with, I guess, research studies, but particularly because these two research studies are one quantitative and then the other being qualitative. In the book, it was saying for quantitative research studies, it's important to kind of know the knowledge regarding trends, relationships among variables, outcomes of interventions, yada yada. And then for qualitative, it's always good to know new knowledge regarding how like they explore a problem, because that's what's specific to qualitative research. So this would be good in regards to knowing like how preschoolers at daycare are with physical activity.
I'm on board with what both of you said, and I just added for the very first part of the question, obviously, like just the definition talked about, just research definition talked about improving your knowledge base. So I think with any type of research that you read, you're going to improve your knowledge base and you're going to be better informed. So that's what I said for the first part of it. And the second part of it, and I really like what you said, Victoria, to use practices that are shown to work better than just doing trial and error. So, but the second part I put, reading both articles also can make you help you make connections between and correlations between early school settings and upper grade settings. So I looked at it in a different way. I know you looked at it as qualitative and quantitative, or vice versa, but I looked at it as if I'm an educator and I'm trying to improve physical activity for kids, I'm going to look at it because I can look at both the early intervention. How is that going to affect later, right? So anyway, that's what I added. So I'll add that to our form. All right, number 6, think about your own professional and educational interests and write a paragraph that describes the kinds of information that you would like to learn by reading research. So that's the first part of the question. What kinds of info would you like to read? Second part of it is the reasons why it might be useful for you to read the research. So 1, what kinds of research would you like to read? 2, the reasons why it might be useful. Who would like to start?
So I'm reading your paragraph here. Victoria, this is your document, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I too am starting an MFT program.
Oh, yay.
So I'll see you there. But similarly to you, like a lot of the research that I'm interested in has to do with like psychological disorders, specifically like anxiety disorders. I really am interested in like PTSD and anxiety and that range of spectrum. So I feel like sorry, I sometimes ramble, so I just need to make sure I'm answering the question. Yeah, so I would like to learn about these to be more well-informed for this profession, and kind of, obviously, that's something I kind of need to be an expert in. And it might be useful, again, to use within the actual profession to say, yeah, just to use in the profession, sorry.
Okay, awesome.
And I can write that down.
All right, so yeah, either way, I'm taking notes, whatever you'd like. So the type of information, I'm a school teacher, so, and I work with kids that are learning, the kids that speak a second language. So I teach ELD, which is English Language Development. And so for me, reading research that shows how children better learn a second language obviously is going to be useful for my profession. So the reasons why I would want to use it is because then I can actually put it in practice, just like you were saying, Sandra. If you read research that's been that informs you, it's useful in your actual practice.
Yeah. And I guess I would like to add, just in general too, like with mental health, it's really important to know the statistics, and that kind of research is changing all the time. And I think specifically for me, I want to make sure I'm working with a specific type of population. And so I need to know like updated research on how that affects my population so I could be an informed practitioner. And also just make sure that I'm always, improving my practice, like you said, and then also being informed about how to kind of go about approaching certain issues amongst that population and whatnot.
I'm sorry, repeat that last part that you said. What did you say?
Oh, just making sure that I am an informed practitioner with these statistics so that I can kind of better my practice, improve my practice, and offering like new approaches to the specific issues facing that population.
Okay, awesome. All right, ladies, we're doing great on time. Okay, so the next thing is chapter 2. It says, reflect back on the characteristics of quantitative and qualitative research and apply your knowledge of the content of this chapter. So number 1, it said to read the following abstract of the study topic of autism on quantitative research, and we needed to list 4 characteristics that showed that you find in the study's abstract. Support your answer with evidence or quotations from the article. So for the first abstract, one of the things that I put was that it was very specific, because when it talked about quantitative research, it said that it needed to ask specific and narrow questions, and it had to have some type of variable. So those were 2 things that I said. They were very specific, and where it shows like n equals 269, they've got their variables. So and they have an explanation about variables. Did you guys have something else?
Yeah, I had that one exactly.
Yeah. I think also I read that usually qualitative research is uses a smaller population. So the fact that the population that they use is 269 would also indicate quantitative research methods. And they also use words that implicate like prevalence and correlations and stuff like that, which again is associated with quantitative research. So
okay, awesome.
For the data analysis and results in quantitative, they tend to be kind of in the form of like stats or graphs. And I felt like the sentence in that paragraph where it talks about like having a larger social network was associated with improvements in material well-being in over an 18-month period. I feel like that could be an easy way to show in a graph over that 18-month period. So
okay, so we've got our 4. And then in the next one, it talked about qualitative research, and then it said to list also 4 characteristics that show the qualitative research and support our evidence with quotations. And again, I'm going to say, just like it talked about, it said themes and categories in the qualitative, they are a broad general question, and there's some type of explanation of phenomenon. Oops. And so it even says in the actual excerpt, it says broad narrative approach. So I
Yeah.
quoted that, broad. I'm like, okay, well, there it is, broad narrative approach.
Yeah. I don't know if this is kind of vague, but it says for qualitative research, literature review tends to be used in more of a dynamic, informative way. That one sentence that says, until recently, adult siblings of people with disabilities, such as severe autism, have been ignored by policy, practice, and research. So it's kind of broad and it's more just in an informative way.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna mention the same kind of a thing. So about like emerging research and how qualitative is usually, you know, I think there was something in the PowerPoints that was like you can't have the quan without the qual. So um, also again, similar to the what I said on about the first abstract, this is a very small population or very small sample that they're using. So
Okay. Awesome. I think that's it, ladies. That's all we have.
Awesome. That wasn't too bad. Hopefully all the discussions will be like that.
Right? That would be amazing. All right. Well, if you guys want to add anything, I'm gonna go look at your I think it sent to my Google Docs, and for some reason it's asking me to ask you for permission.
Oh, I added you too. I think you send it through your Gmail now, so I hopefully you have access. Let me know.
Perfect. Awesome. I think I'm signed in on my Gmail on my Google Docs. That might be why. Okay, so I'll go ahead and just kind of add to it. Thank you for doing the Google Doc. I was going to do
No
that today. I
problem.
was like, that saves me time.
Feel free to make any changes you need. I trust you.
Yeah. I'll add all of our discussion notes if there's anything extra, and I'll send it to them, and hopefully we'll get it all done. Have you girls done the quizzes?
Not yet.
I've done 2 of them.
Done two? How'd you do?
I got 90%